Welcome back, everybody. I'm Sean LaFlock. I'm here with Scott Hagen. This is Conversations, Fitness, Wellness, and Longevity. Scott, how goes it?
It's going good.
Nice,
I
man.
am, yeah, busy.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for slicing out a piece of time for this little conversation that we're having
Oh
here.
yeah,
We are
always
also,
do, always
thank
do.
you, thank you. We are in the thick of regionals now. We are pretty much at the midway point, the second region, but we got to see the entire regionals from the first week. I guess first off, Scott, what's your impressions now of the regionals workouts now that we've gotten to see three regions go at it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to go watch some of the Saturday or Sunday events because I was unfortunately out of town and out of internet connectivity in the sticks last weekend, and I've been trying to chip through it this week. But I have looked at the leaderboard for all the regions and seen how they came out, and it's an interesting, solid tests. I mean, definitely no joke. One of the harder ones in some ways, I would think,
Yep.
for sure.
I think in general, I think this regional really is much more. There's some true metabolic aerobic power or aerobic tests. Obviously, the
Hmm.
first one being one of them, and then
Yeah.
that sucky one, number 5, is definitely another one of them. But the other thing that's also apparent is, or tests more severely, is the athlete's skill level with all sorts of overhead movements and sustainability of that positional strength throughout all those workouts, from the bench press in the second workout to the handstand walking in the third workout, all the way to the rope climbs in that last workout. Oh yeah, and by the way, they're doing 50 handstand push-ups and 50 toes to bar in the fifth workout. So just a
Yeah.
ton of stability work and really control of the body. And if you're not used to that, and if you're strictly working on aerobic work without integrating higher skill movements within that aerobic power, you're seeing some of those athletes start to suffer.
Hmm. Yeah, you just can't fuel those more peripherally, um, even though the central adaptations might be there.
Absolutely. So just kind of like throwing some bigger names out after the first week. Patrick Vellner won the East, so this is his first East regional win after Matt Fraser moved to the Central region. So it was Vellner, Paulson, Craig Kenny, who hasn't been to the games for a few years. I think he might have just taken some time to start a family, that kind of stuff. But he had a pretty awesome performance there. Alexander Karen, and then Marquin Jones. What are your thoughts on Patrick Vellner's performance? I think he did not, looking at the standings right here, he didn't finish outside the top 3 on a single event.
Which is insane,
Pretty
especially
damn good, huh?
at this level and with the varied types of tests.
And had the,
If you before this all started we saw the workouts,
yep,
would you have possibly said that one individual would score in the top three of every workout? And if somebody bet you that, you
for
would
the
have said,
men's,
no,
maybe,
probably.
you know what? Just based upon the fact that Vellner is a top 3 individual athlete every year, or for the last couple of years,
Hmm.
and the fact that Fraser was out, I would say there was a good chance. I didn't know Vellner was able to throw up a serious triple three number like that. I mean, he threw up a 36.59 on the triple three, and to
Hmm.
give you an idea relative to Matt Fraser, um, who just did it in
39
39.23.
something. Yeah.
So he did it a full almost 3 minutes faster than Fraser did it. I
Wow.
didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know obviously he's incredible, but I still I would not have bet money that he or anybody would have been able to come in the top three of
Yep.
every workout.
Yep. And then on the women's side in the East, you had Katrin almost sweeping every workout. She had 1-1-3-1-1. That's pretty amazing. Then Carrie Pierce, Caroline Reason-Tabal, Danny Horan is back again, and then Chloe Gavin David. Some recognizable names there, but The resurgence of Katrin David's daughter, Scott. What are your thoughts?
You broke up there. Can you repeat that the question?
So Katrin David's daughter has a resurgence. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was a little surprised there, but I mean we know she has the capacity to do it. So yeah, coming
Yeah.
back, and that's pretty cool to see. I was struck by the number of just new faces all around. I mean, well, there's certainly some familiar names in all three regions. Um, there were a lot of names I didn't know, and if you look down through all the people who didn't make the cut to get to the games, I was like, well, I didn't really know any of them either. I was
Yep.
expecting maybe there were some names I was going to see that like, oh, so and so, didn't qualify this year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, but not really the case.
I think one of the reasons you might see that is because a lot of those kind of fifth place athletes or top 10 regionals athletes may have ended up going team.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
and then
think team, and then also my thought too was masters
yep,
because
it's that
the
time,
lower
man.
age now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the athletes we've gotten used to seeing, in the last 5 or 6 years are quite likely in at least the beginning tier of masters now.
Precisely, and as dominant as Katrin David's daughter's performance was in the East region, we had Annie Thaw's daughter, just showing that she's, I guess, not shown her best stuff yet. She won the European regional. Laura Horvath, who's looking like a world beater right now, I think she's 21 years old. I mean, that's
Yeah.
impressive. And just showing that she's just getting better and better by the year. We also had Sarah Sibgan's daughter finished third place. I think she might have been dealing with some injuries or something like that. And then Kristen Holta back, and then you had rounding that out was pull it up real quick here was Camille Salason Helma, who's a new athlete. I think making it to the games, as some of the other athletes didn't make it. I know Bjork Odin's daughter, Helga's daughter didn't make it, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think Emma McQuaid might have been a games athlete as well. But it looks like the European women have a nice, well-rounded group. Do you anticipate seeing some good performances out of them in the CrossFit Games?
Yeah, based on history, I would say there's probably a really good chance of that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
might see, like I would say maybe Annie Thor's daughter up near the top this year
yep.
would be one to potentially just based on what we've seen so far this year.
I will say I want to say the performance of the weekend last weekend. I give it to Annie Thaw's daughter on event 5, smashing smashing that chipper in 13:48. That's super impressive. Um, it was about 13 seconds slower than Patrick Vellner. However, they both are doing 50-calorie assault bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, obviously
That's impressive.
that's
Yeah.
pretty darn impressive. So head to
Yeah.
head, aside from the fact that they were doing the dumbbells with 50 pounds rather than 70, and the box is a little bit lower, everything else in that workout is the same. So
Mm-hmm.
super impressive performance by Annie Thor's daughter. Kristen Holta, a steady performance throughout the entire weekend. Just slowed down a little bit on that chipper, but a 3.41.385, and she looked solid, looking like she's going to be another top 15 CrossFit Games athlete. We look over at the men's side of things. Throw a name out there. You might have heard it before. I know Adrian Moldweiler and Lucas Hoberg, but we had Bjorn Carl Goodmanson, BKG, barely sneak in there. But the winner was a guy named Roman Krenikov, and I believe he is from Russia. Have you ever heard that name?
No, I have not.
Just looking at some of his numbers, he's got a 485 back squat. Looks like he's listed at a 220 snatch, 285 clean and jerk, and a 465 deadlift, 50 max pulls. But these numbers might be crazy old. We have a rookie winning the regional in Europe. When a rookie gets to the games, Scott, are they better off or worse off than those who have had experience there?
Well, they're definitely worse off. I think there's like
Mm-hmm.
any competition, there's certain things that you just learn by doing. There's one thing to go in with the capacity, but it's more than that. I mean, I think knowing how to pace and how to handle that volume of it's it's a significant jump from regionals certainly, and something that the person may never have experienced to this point.
If you could put your thumb on one thing that allows a more experienced athlete to have an advantage at the games, what would that be?
Oh man, I think honestly, kind of the whole experience of just of how you have to manage yourself and your fatigue and recover for that many events for that many days, and knowing the venue and how it's different, um, and yeah, it's just it's not the same animal exactly, and the more experience you have, the better for sure.
Yep. Yep.
And I think there's anything that leaves a mark. Like you go to the games, you do all the events, you do however well you're going to do. Okay, well, next time that there's an effect still in your nervous system and your physiology, you've done this before. Um, it is not the same stressor that is the first go. There's
Mm-hmm.
no way you don't, just from the experience and the newness of it, have more adrenaline, more potential stress, right, to deal with
Mm.
that you won't have on your repeats necessarily because it's not a brand new thing anymore.
Yep. Yeah. So you're you're not going through that shell shock of being woken
Mm-hmm.
up at 2 o'clock in the morning and sent off to San Jose, California, to go back to the ranch.
Yep, yep, yep. And after all, right, if you'll get down there, and be like, if that happens to you in year one and then your year two, and that doesn't happen, you're like,
Oh, this is
well,
nothing.
this
This
was
is easy.
great,
It's no big
and now
deal at
you're
all.
relaxed, right?
Exactly. All right, so we'll finish it off in the South region, which, all right, I'm just going to throw it out there. The South seems to perennially and continually be the softest region, Scott. Um, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm just saying. Um, Margot Alvarez, Camille LeBlanc Bazinet, Brista Mayfield, Tennille Berline, a.k.a. Tennille Reed, or also previously known as Tennille Reed, and then Bethany Shadburn round out the top five on the women's side of this. Some honorable mentions, Colleen Foch and Amanda Goodman finishing 7th and 8th in that region. Um,
Mm.
did you get a chance to see any of those, and what are your thoughts on the fact that Camille is what, about 8 months post-op and able to get back to the CrossFit Games?
Wow, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't think I watched any of the South region. Maybe a tiny bit on Friday because I'm in here at the gym. I have a little more
Yep.
time to do that, but I did again check because I know some folks that are in that region, so that's one I kind of keep
Mm.
an eye on a little bit more. But yeah, it's, I said that would be potentially, I suppose, the place to maybe relocate if you're a bubble athlete. That
Yeah.
we see some of this happening. Certainly not out here anymore. There was a time that people thought about moving to our region, but now that we're in with California,
Oh, baby, there's going to be some
good
fireworks
luck.
this weekend, Scott, and we're going to get to that in just a second. On the men's side of things, Sean Sweeney, Roy Gamboa, Brandon Luckett, Logan Collins is going back, and for the first time, former weightlifter Jared Enderton is making it to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
So Sean Sweeney did not make it last year. He had a terrible performance in one of the workouts, but he's making it back, and he's making it back in notable fashion, finishing first in the region. Um, Sean Sweeney is a fan favorite. He's the guy with the cowboy hat. Logan Collins going back. Jared Enderton. Out of those three there, who actually did some decent work at the CrossFit Games before, which one of those three do you see going into the CrossFit Games and having the best shot at putting together some good performances? Logan Collins being a smaller athlete, more gymnastics dominant. Jared Enderton being more of a weightlifting dominant guy. I think right now he's putting up like a 325 snatch and a 385 clean and jerk. And then you have Sean Sweeney, who's a little bit more balanced, but a big, strong athlete. Of those three athletes that are going into the CrossFit Games, Scott, which one of those,
Uh,
again, judging from the past, would
Yeah.
have a more of advantage going in?
I mean, I'd have to probably go with Sweeney, just given that he's done it before. I mean, the others seem to have, you know, the strength, obviously, the weightlifter, um, Anderson, right? I have to have the
Henderson,
engine,
yep.
or he wouldn't have gotten to this point, and he's very strong. But it does depend a little on the tests too. I mean, will they be testing? I mean, we know they're going to test some sort of heavy Olympic lift in some capacity, but will it be enough of an advantage, for example? And
Yep.
is it even that much of an advantage compared to the field anymore? Because everyone,
Everyone's good at
the
everything.
top people is so good. Yep.
Just thinking about that, they almost tested everything last year. There really was no room to hide. So it's going to be interesting how they're actually going to present test this year in another unique way, because they had the clean ladder with the bar muscle ups. They had just a straight up snatch where they just went around in a circle and everybody got a chance at doing a snatch. So the Olympic lifting components were in there, and seemed like they weren't like hidden behind like some capacity based stuff. But
Yeah, you'd have to do 500 double unders and then max your snatch in 3 minutes or something.
exactly. But I would say that weightlifting seems to be a less and less, um, you know, specialist type of component in CrossFit now. I think it's almost like being more of an enduring athlete leads you to perhaps better performance throughout the entire weekend at the CrossFit Games.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at some of those
Yeah.
tests, that horrible, you had to take the cheese curd and throw it over the freaking, bale of hay. Then they had to do that triathlon the duathlon in the beginning of the weekend. There were a lot of unique, longer tests, whereas there was really only two. Actually, there was also the strongman medley as well. That kind of led the specialists to be a little bit more favored in those kinds of events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that would be my guess. That just the experience will give Sweeney a little bit of an edge.
Yep. All right, and this weekend we have three regions going on. We have the Central region, we have the Latin American region, and we have the West region. Now, I was just making sure I was getting those right. Out of the Central, West, and Latin America, I know this might be a loaded question here, Scott, but which one are you most looking forward to?
Well, I am in the West and I have friends competing, so I'm tuned into that one as best I can for sure.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Interesting that it's not right, a couple blocks from the gym like it has been the last few years. Can't
Uh-huh.
really, not really watching this one live in person, but things evolve.
Pretty incredible. Just to throw some names out there in this region, we got Neil Maddox, Johnny Medea the third. I'm just going up this. Josh Bridges.
Mm.
I'm looking at former games athletes, and well-known athletes. Uh, Cody Anderson, Cole Sager, Christian
Yeah.
Lucero, Brent Fikowski, Ben Stoneberg, Jason Carroll, Jonathan Gibson, Samuel Kawant, Mitch Bernard, Garrett Fisher, and Joe Scally. That's about 11 games athletes
Yeah,
who
is
are
that a
going to be
loaded field
vying
or
for
what?
5 spots. I love it. It's going to be super
Yeah.
exciting. Every heat is going to have some great athletes in it. But that being said, it makes it so every heat is competitive, because even if you are in an earlier heat, you might be able to snag top space if you are very good at that specific element that they're going to be testing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah, I'm try and key into it. We got the triple three, the ladies triple three has
Mm-hmm.
started here as of this recording right at this
Yep.
moment.
And pretty incredibly, on the women's side, you have similar kind
Loaded.
of loaded field. I think this is really what they wanted to do. They wanted to see some real competition out there. Over the last few years, I think it's been getting a little soft. So they go, okay, we're going to have to step this up a notch. So here are some notable names in the West right now. We got Lindsay Valenzuela, who's been a multiple CrossFit Games athlete, looking to get back after having a baby and then taking a year to kind of get back into it. Emily Abbott, who's been to multiple CrossFit Games. Brooke Entz making it back after having neck surgery. She's also a huge social media following as well and done movies. We'll see how that goes. Regan Huckabee, Carolyn Matthews, Alessandra Pacelli, Kirsten Pedri, who's one of the older athletes, who's also qualified, I think, first or second in the Masters. Becca Voigt, I think, has been to like 6 or 7 games. Let's see, whom else? China Cho, who had a great performance last year in the regional. And then number 1 is Meredith Root. So another stacked field. The other big thing that's kind of going on here, Scott, and just to kind of keep everybody in the loop, is the Latin American region has 1 spot for the men, 1 spot for the ladies, and I believe 1 spot for a team. To make matters a little bit more, or the stakes a little higher, what happened was there is a strike, a truckers' strike in Brazil that's going on. So when they shipped all the Rogue equipment there, they were unable to distribute it or to get it to the venue. So they've had to basically do all hands on deck and call all the local affiliates to get as much of the equipment as possible so that they can run a region.
Yes, this will be I should be watching that region, actually. It does say live now. I haven't clicked over there. I'm going to jump over and see.
I think we have to. I'm interested in seeing what's going on. Supposedly, they're going to be running outside.
Nice.
It was very challenging to get 10 salt or 20 salt runners at their venue, I suppose.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Wow. Yeah, nobody's going to have 20. You're right. It's going to be all real running.
Yeah, buddy. So to kind of finish it up, Scott, we have a lot going on this weekend. Now that you've seen all of the workouts, which one of these workouts or how have these workouts been different than what you maybe saw on paper and how these athletes are actually attacking them? Or is there a specific workout that
like I said, I need to,
and you're like, oh no, and maybe
I need to catch up because, like I said, I have not actually been able to watch all of them yet, being gone and just being really busy this week. So by next week, I'll have a much better, because this weekend I'm going to dig in and watch, keep a pretty close eye. But I do know that Linda appeared a little different than what I, envisioned. I mean, part of it is that, a walk or a jog was basically mandated as your clean bar got farther away.
Yep.
It added in a little bit of it may have been a rest that some folks would have taken anyway, but a little different than the way we all would probably do it in the affiliate where your 3 bars are all clustered nice and close. And not a major thing, but it was interesting to watch people shred that thing.
Yeah. There were some athletes going unbroken on the entire thing. Pretty amazing. But yeah, I think Linda was one of those workouts that turned out a little bit different than what we had supposed. I think the handstand walk is posed much more challenging to people than I think that they thought there would be. I think most people thought like, oh, whatever, I'll just kind of fudge my way through this. But the standards that they're having to uphold in terms of going up the apparatus, down, and then actually crossing over a line afterward, you're not able to just tumble through the line. You kind of got to control everything and be super, controlled and stringent on the standard that you're holding. Which I love. I mean, I like it. I want people to be able to have to do it properly.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to go back and watch that. That's one that I have not had a chance to check out.
Yep. So we're in week 2 here, Scott. Do you have any predictions for some of who are your top 3 athletes that you see at the end of this weekend? Definitely making it to the CrossFit Games, men or women?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to bet against Matt Fraser in Central, so I'm not. The West that I'm more familiar with.
Okay, let's go with that. That's crazy. Now, if you could pick some guys or gals out of there, that's going to be
Yeah, I better win some money if I can pick top 3 out of that field, right?
You got that right.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know some guys that have done well with some of these sorts of things out of our region. You know, I don't know how they're fixed, you know, when it comes necessarily to like the 333, but, you know, Ben Stoneberg has snuck in before, and I
Yep.
could see him doing really well on some of the workouts. Like Linda, for example, I would look for him to have a good performance there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Team wise, you know, that's another one. I'm pulling for my buddies up at Fort Vancouver to make their
Yep.
10th consecutive games, but obviously this year the road is a lot more difficult, though I see that with day one down, they're sitting pretty good, I think in sixth, I think. But I'm not sure if all the scores were in, so maybe it's not. But anyway, doing well there. But Invictus, of course, has several teams that I suspect to get in. So
Yep.
they'll get in for their 10th consecutive year, which is pretty cool. Those are the only two teams that have the potential to do that.
That's pretty impressive.
And yeah,
Well, I think
fun to watch.
I think it's gonna be definitely fun to watch, and I can't wait to get into it and see what's
Yeah.
what here, Scott. You got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right, Scotty.
Watching Josh Bridges on the rower here about to go to
Holy
double
smokes, I
unders.
got to
So
get in there. Scott,
jump over there, check it out.
beautiful. I'm Sean
All right.
LaFlock. You can get me at Sean at CrossFitDelrabeach.com.
Scott Hagnes, you can get me at Scott at CrossFitPortland.com.
All right, Scotty, enjoy the weekend. Happy Memorial Day to you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Same to you, man. Take care.
Later, dude.